The most relevant thing in our world right now is, per Texas Rangers GM Chris Young, Max Scherzer is undergoing surgery for a herniated disc in his back, and it's looking like he will be out until June and July per multiple other reports.
Well, obviously we saw the disc give on him in the game, and it might have already been slightly herniated. I know that sounds weird, but obviously after one pitch it might have obviously herniated more, putting more pressure on a nerve or something, and that was the reason he couldn't go back out for, I believe it was the 4th inning at the time. This is tough. At his age, this is not something where you're just like, oh yeah, minor surgery, he'll be back in June or July and be just perfect. We hope that, but close to 40 years old, when you have a herniated disc and then pitching a ball competitively at the highest level against major league hitters is not the easiest thing to do.
Sure.
Now, when you're Troy Aikman and you're 25, 26, and I know it's a different sport, herniated disc at that age, you're like, okay, like the body's going to recover quicker from that. So, look, Max Scherzer is going to do everything possible to be ready to pitch in June or July, probably closer around the All-Star break. Yeah. But I just look at it and go, this is tough, because I don't think you brought this up, Kevin. I'll then throw it to Corey. You brought up Jordan Montgomery. I don't think they're even going to make an offer for Jordan Montgomery. So they're not going to say, oh, now we will go sign a $25 or $30 million pitcher. I think that their rotation, I was texting these guys. I don't know who they were, but Corey.
It was me, Mike.
Oh.
You're texting me and Josh Clark, our web guy, and Kevin.
Okay. Well, we updated what the rotation looks like for 2024, at least for the first 2 months.
Evaldi, Gray, Heaney, Dunning, and Bradford.
Yeah,
that's kind of where you are right now.
That's probably your rotation for at least a dozen starts, and that would be nobody gets hurt, right? And you're going to probably deal with an injury with those guys in spring training or April and May. Not all 5 of them, but you can't just say, well, those will be our 5 guys for at least 2 months, and then we'll see who starts coming back at that point, because they signed Malley, which that was positive news yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
But now in a weird way, Max, DeGrom, and Malley will all be out the first 2 months, and you just are hoping at some point later on in the season some of those guys come back.
So that's
a lot of hope.
That's where I stand with this, Kevin, is like, I was very excited to watch Max Scherzer, but I also was thinking to myself, there's no way he makes it through the full season healthy.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time his body gives up on him at whatever point, that'll be the point when DeGrom comes back, and then he'll fill that void. But I was excited about watching his season as a Ranger and seeing more of Max Scherzer, because like I told you last year, I missed a lot of his career, and I was happy to have him here while he was here. So this really stinks for that part of me, and I think a lot of the fan base that feels that way. Maybe that he'll be there for the meat of the schedule, as you would like to say, the last half of the schedule, and then in the playoffs, if the Rangers can get back to that position again. And I don't think this is a situation where I'm with Mike. I don't think it's a situation where they panic and say, we have to replace that arm now. I think they look at their team later in the season next year or mid-season and go, what can we add to it right now?
Okay, you just used a very interesting word right there, panic.
You're panicking.
I am panicking.
I see it on your face.
But I will say this. I don't think now, nor did I think then, just bringing back somebody that was on your team in Jordan Montgomery should be considered a panic move whatsoever. However, if I can opine just a little bit, it seems like, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like perhaps the Rangers brass, while they appreciate everything Jordan Montgomery did for them, is not super keen on signing him to a length and money type of deal that he's going to get for a variety of reasons.
Yeah,
that's my understanding.
Now, who knows? Things can change. That all of a sudden they can come to an agreement and say, all right, we are willing to give, let's face it, it's probably going to be 6 years. And it's probably going to be $25 to $30 million a year. I don't think the Rangers are going to do that. And I don't think the Max Scherzer thing changes that at all. But I could be wrong. I'm just telling you what, you're hearing type of deal with the Jordan Montgomery situation. I would love to have him back. I don't run the Rangers. I'm not Ray Davis. I'm not Chris Young. I'm not in those meetings. But from what I understand, financially, they don't see it making a lot of sense to do a 6-year, $150 million deal. I'm just giving it an approximate number on what he could get. So the Rangers are going to have to, if they're going to win 90 games next year, which obviously that got a wild card spot. That was the 5th seed in the 17 playoff.
It was good enough.
16 playoff. I'm thinking of football, but it's going to be tough when you look at the rotation. John Gray's going to have to really step up and have a great year and be healthy. Evaldi had a great year last year. He's going to have to somewhat repeat it.
Man.
And
he stay healthy.
Again, he wasn't there all season this year, and I wouldn't expect him to be there again all season this year.
I know that he did not have a good year last year, and I'm naming 2 guys. Owen White and Jack Leiter. Their spring trainings are going to be very important this year.
But that does give them a good opportunity.
They should look at that.
Going
their
into
agent
it.
should be calling them today and saying, "Have you heard?" Because they probably haven't. Maybe they're doing sports talk radio, but I bet Owen White and Jack Leiter aren't.
Okay.
Hey, these 2 guys are out. Sorry. Max Scherzer's out and Malley is out. If you're wondering about the Malley thing, or you're wondering about Max Scherzer isn't pitching till around the All-Star break, Malley's not pitching till around the All-Star break, and who knows if they're really going to come back. And obviously Jacob deGrom, there's a hope he comes back around the All-Star break or later, but who knows? So for these guys like Owen White and Jack Leiter, there's a real chance to make the team out of spring training as one of the 5 starting pitchers.
And I just want to throw this out there because Scherzer has a quote that was released by the Rangers, lest you think like June or July. I know Mickey was like, man, that feels like a long time. This is from Scherzer himself. I look forward to putting in the rehab work and getting back on the mound next summer. So when we mention June or July, just so nobody thinks like, oh, that's speculation.
Well, summer around here is also August and maybe October.
Yeah, or April. Yeah. Honestly, April is the summer too. But let's assume he means a traditional summer.
Yeah, because he's not from. Yeah, I got you.
That puts you in line with the June or July. This is most unwelcome news.
It is. The only thing I'm going to give a positive about this, and I had no clue Max Scherzer was getting surgery today or got surgery or having surgery tomorrow. But the Houston Astros don't have any money. They're not spending any money this offseason to improve their team. They're bringing back what they have and saying, you guys have to be good enough because Crane, their owner, is kind of done spending, and it's like, hey, we're at the end of our run here. Hopefully you guys can hold on for another year or 2. I don't know what Seattle's doing. I like their team on paper, but they did not play up to their paper last year, and I can't tell. Right now they're not in huge rumors to add big-time players to their organization. Oakland and Anaheim are planning on losing 100 games each next year. I mean, both of those teams are going to be horrible. So if we just look at the division, Houston should be solid again. They have a lot of experience, but they're not adding depth or adding things to their team. And then Seattle, they're an unknown to me. They're a good team on paper, but I don't know if they're adding anything this offseason spectacular to their team.
I know, Mike, you discussed this yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on hearing Ken Rosenthal tweet this out.
Okay.
The Rangers are projecting DeGrom to return after the All-Star break.
Right.
Same with the newly signed Malley.
Right.
If they sign Clayton Kershaw, which they remain interested in doing, their rotation could undergo a veritable line change in the second half.
Yeah, no, I saw this. Go ahead.
I
think it's
Mike discussed this a lot yesterday. I was curious.
In a way, I wonder if, look, you'd still take Kershaw if he's like, I want to be a Ranger and I want to do it for, let's say, $8 million. And really, you'd be like, it's kind of $16 million in a way because we're getting nothing out of you most likely in April and May from Kershaw. You have so many guys now you're projecting to come back at the All-Star break.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how many you really want to do that with. There's a chance you go 0 for 3 on those guys coming back in 2024.
Absolutely.
There's a chance you go 3 for 3. More than likely, you're going to go 1 for 3 or 2 for 3 on guys coming back and pitching effectively and not getting hurt in the second half where their body's like, hey, we're just not ready to compete at this level. I am, in a weird way, I am nervous about 2024. I'll look at it on the positive side, if they all came back and they were all healthy in August and September, and you made the playoffs, you somehow made the playoffs, and you had a rotation of DeGrom and Eovaldi and Scherzer as your three guys, and somehow they were all three healthy, I'll take my chances in that playoff situation. But now make me put a percentage on the likelihood that DeGrom, Scherzer, and Eovaldi are all healthy in October and all pitching at a premium level. I would say I'm not putting a high percentage on that.
And the percentage that what you had was able to get you to that playoff position that you wanted to be.
That's a good point.
You got to hope that that's the case.
Man, if they did and these people are all healthy, you damn sure better believe I think we're going to win the World Series after that.
And Chris Young, like he was so great last year. He got a World Series in his first year. So anything else from here on is just going to be like, if he doesn't win all the World Series, it's the worst. But if he was able to, all those things come together and it looks that way, you just say, yeah, Mike was right. He is a damn genius, and he might be into witchcraft.
Corey, I hope that's not the last part, but I think you're right about the rest.
For a World Series, would you take witchcraft, Kevin?
No, I would not. But you know what? I know there are plenty of people who will.
Now that you have a World Series, look at
exactly. If I'm glad I don't have to think about it the other way. I will tell you this, and this is the good part and the bad part about success. Honestly, if the Rangers went out and went 62 and 100, I'd be bummed. But I'm good, man, because we got it. But once you get it, it gets you ready to say, we're the defending champions.
Yes.
Like, we got to figure out something.
Their offense should be really good next year.
Maybe even better.
Their starting pitching, and their starting pitching right now is a little bit scary on a piece of paper.
Yes.
It is December 15th. So there is time. And in a weird way, maybe I'm going back to John Daniels. I know he's not with the organization anymore. John Daniels was a good bottom feeder. And what I mean by that
you're right. No, you're right.
And Norm Hitchcock used to say this a lot. Like, you just find a dude that nobody seems interested in that's going to cost you $3 million, and you feel like we can get the most out of him, and you find a couple of other starting pitchers that we're not thinking about, that we wouldn't even – when they announce them, we're not even going to be excited about getting them on our team. But they end up helping you out, and throughout the season you're like, wow, that was a pretty good signing that I didn't care about. So –
and we've talked about this for a while, and multiple people are, you should absolutely hold out hope, to Mike's point. I don't think anyone's going, well, the season's over. But keep an eye, maybe, because I don't want to use a warlock, is keep an eye on the trade market. We have talked about that for several months now. Well, I guess we got caught up in baseball fever. So, like, for a month and a half,
and that's
keep an eye on the trade market.
Because the last 2 years, the Rangers have moved on December 1st.
Yes.
And now they haven't. And so does that give you the idea that maybe Chris Young is like, look, we just won a World Series. Let me get through that. And maybe I want to make some other stuff happen that I can't do immediately. Interesting.
Yeah.